Lord, it smells so good. Hello, folks. Shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another awesome video. It's Sunday night. You know what that means. Time for some pay-per-view wrestling. And, of course, the annual event, Money in the Bank. That's right. Tonight, one person's life will change forever by a simple briefcase. But first, they gotta go through hell to get to heaven. So, what happens? I got my notes. Let's get started. We start with the pre-show. 2 matches for the pre-show. We start off with the Golden Truth facing off against Blizango, the team of Prince Pretty and the Dangler. I like to refer to them as their in their up, up, down, down names. There's some contention with a story here where Goldust locked the two in a tanning booth and they both got horrible sunburns. And needless to say, even though I love Blizango, this match was not anything special, and I'm frankly glad it's on the pre-show. I'll just say about this. This match happened. That's all I'll say. Surprisingly, the Golden Truth picked up their first win against the team of Blizango. Next up, the Lucha Dragons. Kalisto and Sin Cara take on Bubba Ray and Devon, the Dudley Boyz. This was actually a much better match than they had any rights to be. A bit of psychology involved. Standard tag team match between bigger team and a smaller team, but in the end, little team won. Lucha Dragons win. Why do you job so much, Dudley Boyz? But on to the main show proper. And we open with one of the only 3 matches I really give any 2 shits about. Enzo and Kaz, the Vaudevillains, the Bullet Club, and the New Day. Fatal 4-way tag match for the WWE Tag Team titles. If you watched, if you listened to my appearance on the WrestleCast, then you would probably know that I love all 4 of these teams, and I really couldn't pick a winner between them. But nevertheless, this was an amazing, awesome, balls-to-the-wall, awesome match. All 4 teams looked great. There were so many great spots, I couldn't do them justice. But in the end, the New Day retain and are clearly on their way. They're 1 month removed from breaking London and Kendrick's record for the longest tag team title run in history. Good luck, guys. Next up, it's the feud that doesn't seem to want to end between Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler. As much as I'm tired of this feud as everyone else is, this was actually a very good match. Probably Baron's best match to date. Damn, that fan. I really need to clean that out one day. But anyway, this was a pretty good match. Like I said, one of probably Baron's best match to date. Very good, and played to both of their strengths, and of course the right man won in Baron Corbin. Hopefully, he can move on to someone else, because he really deserves to go to bigger and better places at this point. Not to say that beating Dolph Ziggler isn't fun, but there are other people on the roster than Dolph Ziggler. Next up, yet another match I don't care for. The tag team women's match. Charlotte and Dana Brooke take on Natty and Becky. Didn't really care for this match. Not at all. Not to say it was terrible, I just didn't care for it. The build wasn't all that I wanted it to be, and it really should have been a title match at some point. I know they're just waiting for my wife, Miss Sasha Banks, to come back, but they could have done something much better with this. Do something with Paige or something. Dana Brooke and Charlotte win, and Natalya turns heel on Becky. Becky sure knows how to pick partners. Everyone she seems to partner up with seems to turn on her. Poor Becky. Next up, Sheamus versus Apollo Crews in a grudge match. These two have been duking it out for the past couple of weeks, with Sheamus taking exception to this new era that we're in, and decided to take out his shit on Apollo Crews. Actually, a pretty decent match overall. Nothing too much horrible to say. End comes when Sheamus hits a white noise from the second rope, puts him in a lackadaisical cover. Crews kicks out, and while Sheamus is arguing with the ref, Apollo rolls him up for the win. That's right. Sheamus could take the loss, but this is about building up the newer talent. Next up, the match 10 years in the making. The face that runs the place versus the Prince of Phenomenal. The man who built TNA versus the champ. The Doctor of Thugonomics versus the Phenomenal One. That's right. AJ Styles versus John Cena. And I will say, this is the best fucking match on the whole card. Probably match of the year candidate. But someone would agree, disagree. But anyway, the crowd was hot for this match. Most of the night outside the tag match, the crowd was almost dead or just uninterested. This one, they were hyped for from the first to the last. They told a very interesting story with AJ pretty much out wrestling and countering pretty much everything that Cena does. But it was back and forth, action via action via action. The end comes with a ref bump and the interference of Anderson and Gallows, which when they hit the Magic Killer and AJ comes in 1, 2, 3. AJ wins. I'm not opposed to this. Now, a lot of people are not agreeing with this, but I'm going to explain my position on this. Now, a few people, I'm not going to say names, look back at last year's Money in the Bank match between Cena and Owens and said, why couldn't they be booked that way? Here's the deal. Owens is a loner. That's how he's always been booked. He has no friends. He can get the job done by himself. That's always has been. That's all how he's been portrayed since he's been in the WWE and going back into NXT. He has no friends, no allies. He beat John Cena on his own. Now, AJ has been booked to help with the assistance of the Bullet Club. I'm not calling them the club. So, if you didn't expect interference from the club, or at the very least, like I and several of my friends, like Matty J, T-Dub, and a few others were predicting, they thought that Finn Balor was going to interfere. But if you didn't expect some kind of interference from the Bullet Club, you don't need to be watching wrestling anymore. But yeah, I expected this. I called it. You can look it up on Podomatic.com. Look up the WrestleCast, my appearance on the show this past Friday. You can hear my predictions on the match. You all knew I said this was going to have some shenanigans. If AJ was going to win, I didn't expect him to win clean. And this is fit my expectations. You can't sit here and say, and it doesn't make it doesn't make AJ look weak. If anything, it makes Cena look surprisingly weak, considering that Roman Reigns took all of AJ's finishing maneuvers, as well as a prolonged beatdown from the Bullet Club, and completely no-sold it. And Cena couldn't do that. Seems like Cena's no-selling powers have been transferred to a new host. But yeah, this is only the first match. This is going to be a trilogy. Like last summer with Cena Owens, Cena Styles, it's going to be killer. Can't wait. I dropped my list. Next up, the third match I give some shits about. Chris Jericho, Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Alberto Del Rio, Kevin Owens, and Dean Ambrose Money in the Bank ladder match. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this particular type of matchup, inside of a briefcase suspended high above a ring is a contract. That contract is for a guaranteed title shot in the next calendar year at any time of the winner's choosing. They can choose it to be the same night, which we've seen before. They can cash it in at a specific pay-per-view, which we've seen before. They can cash it in at WrestleMania, which we've seen before. Or they can cash it in when the champ is most vulnerable, which we've always seen before. So, there have been 15 winners of the Money in the Bank ladder match. 13 have cashed in successfully. So the odds are definitely in the favor of whoever wins it. It's pretty much a guaranteed title run. This was an awesome, awesome matchup. My dick was so hard for this one. There was so many awesome spots. All these guys put on a clinic. But in the end, my prediction was right. Sorry, Maddie. D fucking Ambrose. He's the new Mr. Money in the Bank. That puts an interesting twist on things. Next up, I think this is our third title match, which I completely forgot, pitting Rusev against Titus ONeil for the United States title. Titus's kids were in the audience. Gonna see your daddy fall. This is pretty much a predictable match. You knew what's gonna happen. Titus got beat, broken by Rusev because Titus really isn't that interesting of a wrestler or diverse of a moveset to warrant a a U.S. title run. Tongpo crushed him, or as he liked to say it, Tongpo Machka. That happened, and now we move on to the main event. For me, the main event was Cena Styles, but anyway, Seth Rollins challenges Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight title, the title he never lost. For the first half of the match, it's mostly been Roman Reigns dominating, and unfortunately, it shows that it just wasn't interesting with just him beating up on Rollins. And only in the second half, when Rollins starts to get in some offense, does the match actually pick up. And the fans do not care for Roman, and they make it pretty well clear. And then there's a thing: the announcers were pretty much doing an audible blowjob of Roman Reigns. They were giving him such a succulent blowjob by how they were building him up, saying, "Oh, this guy, he's been a battle-tested champion. He's fought everybody all over the world. He took Brock Lesnar to the limit." And all this other stuff. And they rarely said anything about Seth. But yeah, there were some good spots, mostly provided by Seth. The end starts to come when Roman decides to go for a spear on the outside, which everyone knew was coming, including Seth, who dodged it, and he ran straight into the barricade. Roman was pretty jacked up, so he threw him into the ring. They started trading moves back and forth, and then Roman goes for a spear, which Seth turns into an awesome midair pedigree. Then he picks him up and hits him with the pedigree again. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns falls, and Seth Rollins, the man, is your new World Heavyweight Champion for the second time. We're all celebrating until Titty Master comes out. That's right, blindsiding him with the case, and he cashes it in. So we have our last match: Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. 1 Dirty Deeds later, we have a new World Heavyweight Champion, Dean fucking Ambrose. And thus, the circle is complete. All 3 members of the Shield have held the World Heavyweight title, which sets things up greatly for the upcoming summer, which a lot of people are predicting a triple threat between all 3 members of the Shield. And that is Money in the Bank. My thoughts: save for a few moments, this was an average pay-per-view. Outside of the matches that I actually like, the tag team title match, the dream match between Styles and Cena, and the Money in the Bank ladder match, the rest of the matches were pretty much forgettable. Even the world title match, even though it had a great ending, you had to slog through that first half with Roman trying to do his best to carry the match, but he just can't do it, so you have to have Rollins put that work in. And of course, Dean cashing in and setting things up magnificently for the rest of the summer, but only if the WWE can let it progress the way it should progress. We never got a resolution from the breakup of the Shield. Now, we got it. So yeah, that's my video. Like what you see? Link, comment, subscribe below. You got any questions, comments I just want to talk about? Or better yet, question of the video. What was your favorite moment tonight? What was your favorite spot? What was your favorite match? What was your favorite moment? Whatever it was, leave it below. You already know how to get in touch with me on social media. #captluffy on Twitter. Look me up on Tumblr as few times as I'm on it at for Shintigercurl. You already know. Patreon is up there. You know what to do. So until next time, it's been Shintigercurl. That dude with the straw hat saying good night and Enchanted Apple.